But is it really enough? I don't think so. I think there must be a balance with also being skilled in that which you intend to do. Those are my thoughts.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Okay, and my next question goes to Mrs. Ijeoma, and it is, what are the key skills and qualifications needed for a career in any industry? What are those key skills that people need to have, regardless of the industry they find themselves?
Okay, for a start, you must have skills that are needed in that industry. Now, this is very open, but if you want to be a medical doctor and you've not gone to medical school, you can't grow a career as a medical doctor, right? A successful one at that. So first of all, identify that industry you want to play in, then find out what skills are relevant that will touch lives and give you money. Because some of us who, when they were growing up, loved to dance, knew how to dance, and thought they would be dancers. Just wave at me. Yeah, we're all here. Myself inclusive, you understand? But when she was talking about passion, I was just thinking like, okay, if I had followed passion, I probably would have been a dancer by now, right? Would I have had enough money to take care of myself and my family? I don't know yet. So yes, as she was saying, you develop a passion on it. So when you find out that industry, the skills that are needed in that industry, then you begin to build those skills and develop the passion for it as well. But whatever you do, whatever industry you choose to play in, make sure you have workplace skills. The soft skills that are cross-sectional, the soft skills that help you everywhere, both on career and off career. I'm talking leadership, communication, public speaking, sales, even of self, just critical thinking and problem solving, emotional intelligence. Such skills are cross-sectional, and that's why hubs like Respectech HR do not play with them. You need them in every industry, you need them everywhere. So as you build the hard skills for your industry, remember to build soft skills as well. One thing with soft skills, hard skills, I could teach you how to fix a computer button now and you remember it tomorrow. But soft skills, you need to keep practicing them. When you learn them, continue to seek opportunities to practice them. That way you imbibe them and you grow in them, and later you can teach others. Once they are learned and you're practicing them, they don't leave you, and they're useful everywhere. That's what I'll say.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ijoma. That was very profound. So to Mr. Sheung, I would like to know, how can I transition into a new career or industry? So for some of us here, we're not techies and we've never been in tech. But there are some people seated in this hall that actually want to go into tech, and they are finding that transition process a bit difficult, maybe because of all the jargons and all the things they need to learn. So what is that process? Like, how can they do it so seamlessly that when they get into that particular industry that they want to be in, they find it easy?
Okay, thanks for that question. So I'll just give you a personal example. I don't know how to code to save my life. But funny enough, all the places I've worked, the tech team reports to me, the HR department reports to me, the procurement department reports to me. Why? Because I'm a very curious person. I like to understand things. So the easiest way for you to transition is trying to even understand what that industry is all about. So this is how I understood tech. I understand that tech is just about logic. So if you know logic, and the principles that guides logic, you would understand tech, that's all. So you don't really need to know how to code. Go and understand logic. Now, guess what you'll be able to do? You'll be able to translate the tech language to an average human. Because if you find out in any organization, there's always a challenge between the CEO and the tech guys. Has anyone ever worked in a tech organization before? There's always this fight between the marketing team, the business team, and the tech team. True or false? Okay. So what you need to do is just understand logic, because tech guys only understand logic. That's how they code, right? So if you can understand logic, you will now be able to translate. Oh, this is what these people need. Okay, so guys, come. Can we do this? They'll say yes, because they understand you, because you're speaking logic. then you can translate it back to, and that way you can actually easily move. So you don't really need to go through a lot of learning. So first, find what that industry is all about. What's the lingua franca of that industry, right? And then be sure that you're understanding enough to make it simple to an average person. That's the easiest way that you can transition in any department. But then also, you have to devote time to learn. Because a lot of times you want to go to, how many of you have been to, let me see, Enugu? Okay, so imagine that you want to describe Enugu to someone that's not been to Enugu and you yourself, you've not been there. Do you know how difficult it is? So for you to now be able to describe that, you need to have knowledge of how Enugu is, how Enugu operates. Do you understand what the pathways are, what are the end roads? Do you understand? And once you have that, then you can now say, oh, you are consultants in, or do you get what I'm saying? So that's one of the things I think. One, try to understand what the lingua franca of that area is, of that new industry is. Two, observe, and then devote time to learn. Right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shion. All right, and then to my last panelist, so a lot of people say that work-life balance is a fluke, right? But I think the real question is, how can we maintain our well-being in work? Like, how can we ensure that we are fine mentally and physically while trying to give our best to the people we work with or to the jobs we do?
Okay, thank you to the chair. As again, I'm Dr. Latola from Nelson Mandela University. I think that question resonates with me because I'm a trained chemist. I'm a full-time researcher in chemistry. However, I've been poached by the university to manage the African expansion program. I'm an international winner of a science communication competition. Wow. I am currently involved in a prestigious leadership, higher management leadership program in Germany. We were selected amongst 5,000 applications were selected to be a part of this. So burnout is inevitable. And I think my colleague, Palesa, Dr. Matapo, also shared it earlier on yesterday when she spoke about it. It is inevitable. However, we need to put in mechanisms into our day. So for instance, I like to plan. I hate it, but I've had to adapt to it. In the morning, I will deal with partnerships. I am not a morning person, but I love working with people. So in the morning, I deal with partnerships. In the afternoons, that's when I have the most of my physical strength to do any sort of activity. So in the afternoon, I tackle the lab, I go do research, I supervise my students. I'm also being trained currently in AI with chemistry. I'm also dealing with cell work biology. And so I work in all of these different spaces in my afternoon. In my evenings is my thinking time, and that's when I write. So after I've tended to the family, had meals and things, then in the evening I write, and at 1 p.m. I go to bed. 1 a.m. I go to bed. So that's my day. And it's helped me to find those pockets where it really matters to make time for things. So it's important to be implicit about your activity, what you want to do, and I think it connects with what all the other speakers have spoken about. It's knowing exactly what you want to do and creating the time for it. So that I would say is how we can afford it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leah. Knowing exactly what you want to do and creating time for it, that's a personal take home for me. And then, this is a very open question. How do you stand out in a competitive market, right? I mean, there are tech talents all over this room, but they might all be searching for a particular job, and then tons of other people that have skill sets in that particular job, and it's only one company with 100 people wanting that particular role. So how do you stand out in a very competitive tech landscape and job market?
That's such a powerful question, and I was looking forward to a question like this because I feel this today and of course yesterday already has been filled with so much learning, so much inspiration. And one thing matters at the end of this conference, and that is what you are personally leaving with and what no one else can take away from you. And that thing is how you think. You see, there are opportunities everywhere, when I was told I was going to speak on this career workshop, one of the things I felt was important to share was the need for us to really work and improve on how we think, especially globally. A lot of Africans, we have solutions that we are, preferring, we have solutions we're coming up with, innovations, but are we thinking on a global scale? And I'll share a quick personal story and I'll tie it all up together. 2015, I was having a baby after a 12-year gap. And so in August, I'm going to be 46. I have 4 children. My first son is 22. I have a 20-year-old. Then I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. So I actually have like 2 children in one generation, another 2 in another generation. And while I was nursing Samuel, I found out about the Periscope platform. So now I'm not, my work is tech-driven. So I'm not a tech person, for lack of a better word. Everything I've created was driven by tech. And so Periscope was a platform that a lot of people were trying to understand. This was a time where there was no Facebook Live, there was no Instagram Live. And here I was, a nursing mother. Then I was about 37. And I was not particularly Gen Z, if you know what I mean. So tech was not even a familiar terrain. But I had a very unique way of thinking, where I felt, you know what, as long as there are people there, as long as there's room there, then I'm getting in. And that's important for you to understand, because it's not every time the doors will open and you will walk right in. Sometimes you need to think your way through the door. And so I started live streaming. I was scared, no doubt about it. October 11th, 2015, the first time I went live, I didn't know who was going to show up. And we had what we call trolls. I'm telling you, the trolls you see on Facebook and Instagram, they are learning compared to the Periscope trolls. I mean, they would come into the broadcast, use the N word, F word, B word, and people just got scared. A lot of people I know never went live because while they were fascinated about the platform, they could not really, cope with the pressure of all of that negativity. But I stayed on. And within 6 months of showing up live, learning from those who had gone ahead of me, my channel trended and I became the first African woman to trend on the Periscope app. Thank you. I wrote a book that became an Amazon bestseller. I got invited to speak at my first TEDx event. The world practically opened up. Over the last 7 years, I've spoken on stages across 4 continents. And many rooms I've been in, I happen to be the only Nigerian and sometimes the only African. I shared all of this to let you know what was the difference. What was the difference maker? It was really just my thinking pattern. Knowing that this is what I want, this is what I'm going for, and I'm going to get it. So if you are building a career in tech and you have your eyes set at an organization, and yes, it's competitive, I want you to believe that you are capable of going into that room. But beyond the belief, I also want you to build capacity. I want you to build capacity that when the opportunity comes, you are ready for it. I hope that helps you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is what I want and I'm going to go for it. Can we all say that? This is what I want and I'm going to go for it. Thank you so much. And to my last and final question before we take questions from all of you, and that's to Mrs. Ijoma. I know Mrs. Ijoma is skilled when it comes to poking holes. She knows how to find out what is not working and what is not right and how to correct it. Like, I call her the answer machine. She has all the answers. And for some of the students at the campus, I see how she corrects them and shows them the way to do things, from their presentation to how their resumes should look like, to even how they write and introduce their cover letters. She is that person. So Mrs. Ijoma, I would like to ask, and I know a lot of people would also like to know, how do I sell myself from my cover letter?
How do you sell yourself from your cover letter? I would like to answer that question from another angle. Cover letters are good, CVs are good, writing is good, but there's something I've learned in the last 6 years. Relationship is better. relationship will open doors to you that never has to see you right until you get the job. So young people need to learn how to build relationships. Oliver Hart, our grand mentor, as his mentor to our mentor at Assembly Global, has been saying something for the past 2 months, and I would like to start from there. He's been saying a lot of Nigerians have been trying to connect with him on LinkedIn. And you know what we do now? You go to LinkedIn, you see this person's profile, you like it, and you just say, connect. Then you go and wait for the person to connect. And you say today is my LinkedIn day, so you go and check, read all the profiles, then connect, then you go to sleep and you're wondering why they didn't connect. Well, because you didn't introduce yourself. You didn't bring any value to the table. They don't know who you are, what you do. You could be a scammer. You could be trying to get to know them, to get information to do something bad to them. And we do that a lot. So the connect button is there for you to connect. However, there is a way to connect. When you want to do something like that, you introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you reaching out? Do you understand? Because the other person needs to see value in connecting with you as well. And that's just a LinkedIn example. Right here in this room, many of us have been here since yesterday. Who have you connected with? Some of us are still walking around with this, I'm shy, I don't know what to say mindset. In Nigeria, we say, Peleo. You don't do that anymore. We're no longer there. Do you understand? And in the last 6 years, what I've learned is, hey, you can either relationship your way into what you want, or make yourself fall in the pool of people that people now have to be selecting from. Should it be her? Should it not be her? And I don't like that. I have not submitted my CV anywhere. I'm not going to say, drop CV, please interview. No. Everything is by relationship. It works faster. So the first way to sell yourself is to learn how to connect via relationships. And don't belittle anybody. Meet people, introduce yourselves, get to know each other. My friends who are in the room know that many of us connected over just saying hi somewhere that we met, and we're all here doing things together already. You understand? Now, when it comes to cover letter, I may not go into this specific, but one thing I would like to say, which I had to learn and still learning over time is, like Naomi said, is a global stage. You're talking to the world, no longer to yourself or to your primary school teacher. Use Grammarly.
Right.
Use Grammarly. Don't even stretch. When we're younger, we used to cram how to spell words. Spelling bees, right, was rampant. I know how to spell words. Now, nobody cares. Just use Grammarly and make these things, better. Learn, continue to practice. It doesn't come at once, but if you keep practicing to make your write-up readable first, then that helps you. Then don't talk too much. Don't talk too much. My staff must have heard this word over time. Don't talk too much. There's no need to tell long stories on the cover letter. Go straight to the point. Who are you? What have you done? Why are you writing to us? Some may say use the STAR method. If it works for the person you're writing to, you can use the situation, task, activity and results. So you can tell a story. Oh, my name is this. I'm a doctor of da-da-da-da-da. I once saw someone that this. That's a situation. This is what I did to help the person. And when I was done, the person got better and didn't have that situation again. In one paragraph, you have used the STAR method to introduce yourself. So keep things short. Keep things straight to the point. Write in ways that are clear for anybody in the world to read. And then learn to build relationships. That's what I'll say.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ejoma.
Let me just add to that. So there's this thing I tell people when they come for interview. I always say that for every time there's an opening, it means the organization has a problem. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, do I know the problem that this organization has? And do I understand the solution? Like, do I know the problem? Do I understand the problem, how this problem works? Do I have a solution to this problem? Right? And can I deliver on that solution? So if you can say yes to this 4 questions, you're the best candidate. Because what you're actually going to do in an interview is just to tell them, hey, Oye, I know you have this problem, right? And this is how it has been affecting you. Now, this is what I think is the solution. You know what? I can actually help you solve it. There was an engagement that someone referred to me, and the man called me, we had a chat, and then when we were done, he said, what was I expecting in terms of pay? I told him that I really need to see the numbers of the organization before I can give him what I would want, because I don't want him to pay me, I want the organization to pay me. And he said, wow, that he has never had such conversation before from people. I said, because I understand when you pay me and not the organization, it means I'm dependent on you, because what I want to take The organization might not be grown enough to be able to afford me. But if I see the numbers, I can say, okay, so I'm going to do like a CSR for the organization for 3 years, for you guys to meet up to this place, but for now, this is what I'll do, and I understand that I'm giving a CSR. But if the organization can't, and I'm just taking the money from you because I know you have, then I've put myself in a bad place, because the day you and I are no longer at same wavelength, we're going to have an issue, and it has nothing to do with the business. So a lot of times, understand the problem. Don't just apply. Don't just go into any organization. Understand the problem they want to solve, and be sure that you don't just know that solution, but that you are the best person to solve that problem. Once you can prove this, I've not seen someone that you will have a conversation with that is a business owner that won't engage you, based on the fact, beyond the fact that you are having a relationship. So yes, you can have a relationship with someone, but if you can't solve their problem, you still don't add value to them. So be very, very, very particular about being a value-oriented human being. Like at any point place you are, at anything you do, you can create value. That's it.
Amazing.
I'm triggered. I just want to say one thing. I'm triggered by the conversation that's happening here. And there's one sentence or one key phrase, my golden frame that I work with in life is people want to work with people, not qualifications, not degrees. They want to work with people. So you heard what the panel said. So when you introduce yourself, you are a person first, so draw from that and use the storytelling, use the relationships, and use the skills that you have to foster and do that in your later.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm here sitting and I'm learning so much. I believe we're learning, right? Yes. Okay, so one thing that Mr. Shion said that struck me right now was, are you the best person in whatever you do? Are you good at what you do? Are you value oriented? It's one thing to go to someone and say, I can do this, but really, can you? So these are some questions you need to ask yourself. I tell people to sit with themselves and understand who they are so that they can project that to the people that need them, right? And there are over 70 plus roles today. There are people that are going to be interviewed today, and I would like us to tell them one thing that they should go into those interview rooms with, right? Because there are tons of people that want to get jobs. There are tons of people that need jobs. So yes, you need a job, but like Mr. Shon said, are you solving a problem? So what is that one advice you would like to give them? And let's wrap it up.
Yeah, so there's a famous quote, and a lot of us might be familiar with it. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you are correct. And so while you prepare for that moment, think first that you can. And I sure do hope that you're ready, because that's where opportunity meets preparation. You need to be ready, but it might be too late to be ready now, but this is an advice you can take even from this conference. Prepare, prepare, prepare. There are lots of young people who are spending so much time, and I thank God for our mentor. He's now our mentor. You get that, our mentor, who talks about watching one TED Talk per day. This is something so powerful. It might look like a small thing, but ask yourself how much airtime you use, maybe scrolling on the feeds of Instagram and Facebook. So prepare so that when that moment comes, you're ready. But think you can, and I pray you get the job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to take 4 questions from the audience as we have 4 panelists. Okay, I see a hand there. Isidore, give that guy a mic and this guy. Okay, someone else?
There's a lady here.
There's a lady where?
Because of the line.
Okay.
Okay. So keep your questions